When I was a kid, we used to play the craziest game. This was the best game. Okay. We'd get all on the corner of the street, you know, or wherever it was, gathered by some stop sign. We're all a bunch of kids. There's 8, 10, 12, 14 of us, and we're all crowding around, doing a little chitter chatter, and this was this great game I invented. Thank you. Brilliant game. Whenever we'd see a bus coming, because we were always waiting for the bus, we'd shove a kid out into the street and yell, "Bus, bus, bus!" And the kid's standing there in the middle of the street, and he's freaking out, and we just cracking up. Which is not what this game is about.
I was always interested in blocks.
It was a mutual thing.
We actually met at
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, that was another guy?
Yeah.
Well, let's start at the beginning. The game, the original game, the game we based the game on, it flowed. It just had a flow to it that you don't see in games very often.
But we still had to do some research.
We needed some information.
So we found some rabbis.
About 7 or 8 rabbis.
Yeah, we interviewed them.
For inspiration.
It's all about inspiration.
I wanted the colors to, you know, come together, like in a mysterious way, you know, kind of like an interlocking mystery.
It's based on the 13 principles.
Maimonides is 13 principles.
It's based on the 13 principles of faith.
It sailed. Yeah, I'm telling you this. That's not something you hear about games very often, but the #1 game magazine in the country said that. I'm not making this up, you know. I'd tell you if I was. That's what they said. It sailed. It sailed. That's what they said.
I mean, if you read the reviews, essentially, in some sort of way, that's really, it's all there.
It's modeled after the 13 principles.
Is this a 13-episode show?
800 years ago, the Jewish people mourned the death of Rabbi Moses Maimonides, the illustrious Rambam. It was Maimonides who cut the precious diamond known as the 13 roots of the Jewish creed. During this octocentennial year, a group of enterprising university students turned to a mysterious etching from the Cairo Geniza to create a mind-bending challenge of faith for the 21st century. The name of the game, CREDO 13.
In a sea of doubt, 2 fish are talking. One fish says to the other, "What's the biggest thing, do you think, that the moon ever gave us?" Says the second fish, "What's a moon?" The first principle of the Maimonidean Catechism is belief in the existence of God.
But of course, what does it mean when we say God exists?
He's the creator of all.
So the first principle is the existence of God.
And not just the existence of God, the notion that all depends on God.
It's about just being the only creator.
If you took away God, everything we see would cease to exist.
The only force.
But you take away everything we see and God still remains.
I would say that here probably the only force in the universe.
He's non-dependent on anything.
There is no other force.
Yet the world is dependent upon him.
There is no other force.
He is the one unique being in the universe.
Without God, you know, all the other principles relating to God don't make sense.
Maimonides, when he defined God as the source of all existence.
He is omnipotent as well.
Omnipotent, omniscient, and perfect in virtue.
He's perfect in all aspects of existence. So in other words, he can do anything.
The universe was created. God always was and always will be.
If we could suppose disappearance of all existent things other than him, then his existence would not cease, nor would it be diminished.
So Maimonides just tells us at the outset that which is self-evident, that existence had a beginning and a first cause, and we call that first cause God.
If there is an ikar of all ikrim, a fundamental principle of all fundamental principles, this is certainly it, the belief in God.
we turn on some lights?
The lights are on.
It's dark in here.
The lights are on.
I can't see a thing.
Jackie,
The light's on.
see.
But I can't see a thing. It's dark outside. We're inside.
Yes.
We're inside.
And it's dark.
Exactly.
Cloudy.
Outside.
Right. The light's on.
I turned it on.
You turn the light on.
This morning.
So the light's on.
But can you see?
I see fine.
I see fine.
I see fine.
Although.
Yes.
I must admit.
Yes.
Some shades seem a little.
Your mind's playing tricks on you.
Because it's dark outside.
It's really dark outside.
Cloudy.
Very cloudy.
But the light seems a little off, right? Some shades just seem a little.
I know. Right?
Maybe your standards are too high.
Is that a compliment?
Maybe.
Too high as if too scrutinizing?
No, too high as if inhuman.
That must be a compliment.
Maybe. The light is on.
If you accept this fact.
That the light's on.
When we can't see.
Yes. If you accept this fact.
Suspend factual doubt, you mean?
Yes.
Close our eyes to see?
Yes.
Then.
Immediately.
Then what?
CREDO.
How does a 12th century creed become a challenge of faith for the 21st century? This is Credo 13. The first principle of Maimonides' creed: God exists.
The Rambam's definition here seems to be that God is a perfect being in every possible way, who is the cause of whatever exists, which pretty much smuggles in creation, and that it is wrong to consider the possibility of his not existing, and so forth.
He has perfect benevolence. He has perfect mercy. He's perfect in every way. But for Maimonides, he didn't believe that you could discuss God positively. We do, because that's is a matter of shorthand, but really, if you say that God is benevolent, you already reduced him.
So the question for modern persons, what your conception of God is. If we leave that on the side, just ask ourselves, what is our conception of God?
Everyone accepts that God is perfect and that he is unique. Those are basic.
To say that God is the most perfect being possible is probably the safest definition you can work with, because you're asserting everything that you ought to assert, even if you're not making it explicit.
Ein od milvad. There's nothing in the world that is outside of God. It's all part of God. So that's God's all over. He's just all consuming. Everything is about Hashem.
Since he is perfect in all aspects of existence, I understand that to mean that perfection implies the ability to do all.
Still seems very dark.
Yeah, what wattage do you have in there?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
I didn't check the wattage.
Always check the wattage.
Why?
Are you joking?
Always check the wattage.
Well, the salesman said they were the best bulbs I could get.
Best wattage?
Just
best wattage or best make?
What's the difference?
Everything.
I think they were both. Yeah, they were really expensive.
Best wattage and best make.
Is that possible?
I don't think so.
Why?
The general theory for years has been that the best make by definition is a low wattage.
Why is that?
Because they're very fragile. The best make is very elite and they can't handle such powerful wattage.
Well, the salesman said they were the perfect bulb.
He said that?
Perfect wattage, perfect make.
Then why is it so dark in here?
Our own existence is only possible because of the existence of God. We are reliant upon God.
God is the only being, if you can even use the word being, that exists that is not dependent on anything else. Everything else in the universe is dependent on something else for its existence, with the exception of God.
There's nothing close to him, and it's repeated throughout that theme to make sure that we don't have anything. The only God is a God that we know of. We don't want to hear about any future person, God's assistant, God's secretary, God's aide, God's treasurer. There's nothing else. It is God alone.
If God is creator,
the blade of grass doesn't grow until God says, grow.
Then if there's no God, then where did anything else come from?
If the question you're asking is that if you define God differently, not as being the source of existence, then what happens? And I think that you're worshiping a very different God.
My guess is that Maimonides was responding to certain needs at that point in history, certain alternative conceptions of the divine. And in this particular case, perhaps Greek notions of the eternity of matter, the non-existence of the divine.
Maimonides was, of course, coming to address the Aristotelian challenge, the belief that perhaps it was the universe it always was, and it had no beginning.
Rambam says it's first cause, not in the temporal sense, but in the Aristotelian sense of sustainer.
The greatest miracle in history was, it's unbelievable, what was the greatest miracle in history? Creation.
You see, it's not just that Judaism believes in one God and the pagans were polytheistic, believed in many gods. The real point of departure is this, that the pagans, if you look at their mythologies, all their mythologies begin with myths of the creation of the gods. There was a primordial universe, and somehow in some eruption, some explosion, some cataclysm, the gods emerged. Well, in that sense, if the gods are of the universe, from the universe, then really there's no essential difference between the gods and men.
It's necessary to have that kind of statement in order to give value to the halacha.
There is a director of this movie called HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem. He's a Borei Umanhig. He leads it in every way, shape, or form.
God commands. God comes and says, I don't want you to eat pork anymore. You are not allowed to eat pork. And if you eat pork, you will be punished. And if you don't eat pork, you will be rewarded. So one of the first questions you can ask is, who gave God the right to give reward and punishment? Where does that come from?
Why on earth should anybody be living according to the commandments of the Torah?
Once you propose that God is the source of all existence, there's a fundamental difference. Everything is dependent upon Him. And therefore, He is omnipotent, He is all-powerful, He is totally in control, and therefore it's a very, very different God that we're worshiping than the alternative.
When you read statements in the Talmud where God will return the world to tohu vavohu, to void, basically God's saying, listen, I am sustaining this existence. For me to sustain, I want certain rules to sustain this existence. If the rules are gone, if these rules aren't going to be followed, I'm no longer interested in sustaining this existence.
You might think the world is perfect, has its own existence. It really doesn't. The world's existence depends on God.
If I'm providing you, out of the goodness of my heart, with electricity,
and he wants to contrast that with the fact that if you took away the world, God would still exist.
And now I turn around and say, I no longer wish to supply that electricity. Okay? I have that right.
You could have just ended the principle that God is perfect and all that, but part of his perfection, it seems to be, is that he wants there to be a world. For whatever reason, we can't understand that, but he's created this world. He could take it away if he wants.
No, it's in a certain way, all the statements that God has, he's going to return people to return the earth to nothingness and so forth, is simply the idea that all I'm doing is pulling the plug.
It is kind of dark in here.
No, it's dark outside, remember?
No, Sam, it's kind of dark here. Look around.
It's pitch black in here.
See?
Why is it so dark?
That's what I'm saying. Jackie?
Yeah?
Wasn't it your turn to pay the bill this month?
I paid.
In full?
I paid.
Huh.
It always seems so dark.
You didn't pay.
The light doesn't work anyway.
Because you didn't pay.
It never seems to work.
It works when you pay.
I flipped the switch back and forth and nothing happened.
Because you didn't pay, you have to pay the bill.
They cut your power.
Why should I pay if I don't have power?
You pay in order to get power.
And then you have light.
But first you have to pay.
I'm not paying for light that doesn't exist.
The light exists. It'll come when you pay.
I don't want to pay.
No one wants to pay.
But they want light.
So they pay.
And then they have light.
But first, you have to pay.
Not without light.
It's your turn.
I'm not paying if I can't see.
You pay so that you can see.
Is it really so dark in here?
Okay, I'll pay. CREDO.
Zenu is really into light meditation.
Who's Zenu?
Her new yoga instructor.
He's interesting. Very deep.
Very blonde.
Yeah, and now he has this fascination with light meditation.
What's light meditation?
Not light meditation, light meditation. It's where you meditate on lights.
Meaning?
He's training us to comprehend the various grades and textures of light.
That's interesting.
We sit in a bright room and then we close our eyes, and at some random point, Zenu turns off all the lights. The masters of light meditation can see in the dark.
With their eyes closed?
It's transcendental.
How do we know there is God? I mean, our initial is to be somebody told us, our mother, our father, our rabbi, or whoever.
God placed man in this world to be challenged, to be tested. And the real test is not whether man is going to be honest in his business, whether he's going to be observant of the ritual law. Those, of course, are challenges. But the ultimate challenge is the challenge of faith. Is man going to believe, or is man going to deny?
I think that what Maimonides was saying is that you really have to now internalize that. You really have to discover from within your own experience, whether it's special experience or whether it's general, universal type of experience of the world and its orderliness or whatever, then you have to discover kind of for yourself that these assertions that you were told through somebody else are true.
For the modern man, living 200 years since Europe decided to break with God, or 400 years if you want to say so, this is sometimes very difficult. We're no longer in a world of faith.
I think that people are either affirming God or denying God. I don't think that people deep down are acting as if God never was. And at least people that I've spoken to who are atheists, I think it's important for there to be a dialogue. You press them hard enough. There was a time they once believed, or wanted to believe, and just decided that there wasn't anybody there who wanted to hear from them.
There is a certain concealment of God. God does not make himself visible. He doesn't put his fingerprints over everything. No, we have to find God. We have to discover God.
And therefore it requires, I think, a more conscious defiance for the modern man to pledge himself to God, to believe in God, than it might have been for ancient man or medieval man, because they lived in worlds in which faith was assumed. We live in a world in which the absence of God is assumed. It's been that way for 200 years.
We go to a doctor. We don't ask the doctor to present his transcripts of his medical school education. We assume that he occupies an office. The shingle says doctor. He has diplomas on the wall. We assume they're authentic, and we place our lives in his hands. When it comes to religion, all of a sudden people say, I want to know for sure. If there's any possibility of doubt, I'm not obligated.
You can't get that militant, or not even militant, but even that concerned with someone who either doesn't exist or never existed.
If in every area of life we satisfy ourselves with one notch below certainty, with a certain level of belief, and we consider that enough conviction to act upon, I think in the area of theology, that also should be good enough.
Joseph Alba makes a clear distinction between principles and rules. But for Maimonides, that first principle is also a rule. The rule is the first commandment. In his listing of the 613 commandments, the first commandment is to believe in God. Now, the only way you can get out of the logical circle of God commanding you to believe in God, so you is to say that the Torah really is commanding you to become internally convinced of what, in effect, it is teaching about God.
The highest level of conviction which we can achieve in this world, we call belief. Belief is just short of knowledge. Belief means that I have enough evidence, I have enough reason to live my life as if this principle is true, Yet at the same time, I harbor my doubts. And I have my questions, and I don't see it as a virtual certainty. I think that's really what belief is.
It's only when you've been engaged in the search and somehow or other seem to be making some progress that you intuit that God himself is drawing you and asking you to seek him out.
So this requires enormous steadfastness and courage today, and we have to be prepared for some rough sailing in the maintenance of this in our hearts.
And we all go through our, there are times we all are, if not in theory and practice, atheists. I mean, even when we're going through religious acts, there are times that God is not very much on our minds, or God's care for us is not very much on our minds. But of course, it's something we try to cultivate, and indeed, I think that the Torah is the way that has been given to us to best cultivate that, because the Torah does command us to love God with our hearts, which means to develop an inwardness, and, as opposed to trying to invent our own spirituality.
But there always will be that doubt. There'll always be that questioning. And that's the way it's meant to be, because this world is the world of testing. This is the world of challenge. And this really is the challenge, the greatest challenge, the challenge of faith.
And each of us, as I noted before, each of us struggles in our own way to arrive at that. And it's a lifelong process. And there are going to be moments of despair and moments of dryness. But we are commanded as best we can to arrive at perfect faith in this principle.
Keep building the faith with Credo 13. Join us next week for the next root belief of the Maimonidean Creed. God's unity is absolute. Stay tuned for the men in black hats on Messages up next.
People might think of it as me just sitting in a room, just creating out of nothing. Just rub fingers together, creating. Doesn't work that way. I don't think it ever has. I mean, art has its own birthing process. I mean, art is life. Life doesn't get created out of nothing. I mean, there's a whole gestation process to this. It's not so simple.